Hello everyone, I'm Nukan, and a few months ago I made a video about cancel culture in which I tried to demonstrate that there was a political motivation in Illinois' bans instead of a desire to remove slurs or truly bigoted opinions. After posting this video, I was banned from a couple of Twitch channels, including Virtuals. Seeing as I discovered this amazing 2020 version of TrackMania through Virtuals videos on YouTube, and wanted to participate in the discovery streams of Deep Dip, I felt pretty let down I couldn't join in just because I tried to defend my friend from bullying. So I wanted to go through the accusations made in the ban justification in this video. There was also an incident with J-Nick where he called out harassment. Although the screenshots he included painted some clear harassment, the video in itself didn't do a good job of highlighting that. As well as painting banter as harassment and using cancel culture tactics to coerce someone. I wanted to go through the video and compare it to the harassment against Illinois because there are some similarities from both sides of that issue. Before we can begin, we need to discuss some things. First things first, I have tremendous respect for these streamers and what they were able to build around this awesome game. Besides that, I love the drum and bass representation and tutorial making J-Nick is involved with, as a creator of both myself. And Weirdroll for previously mentioned YouTube content. However, I feel like I need to call out specific behavior that I disagree with. With that being said, I want to call out issues and discourage bothering people over or with it. Be sensible, please. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the aftermath of the horrible behavior displayed in this community and how the people that perpetuate it are actually the evil they accuse Illinois of being. This section comes with a trigger warning though. I warn you about it later, don't worry. With that out of the way, let's dive into the topics. So ever since I made a video explaining how Illinois did not deserve a mass ban, I got banned from multiple streams. Where I could at least understand why Scars would ban me. Maji I have never really interacted with. Why did you ban me, Maji? But the biggest surprise would have been Virtual's ban. Already in the first video it struck me as weird because just before Illinois got, in my opinion, falsely accused, NachoQT called out Virtual for making a pretty hilarious joke. I mean, it was funny. Now why would the same person that tried to shame Virtual for banter also have these accusations be taken at face value? But it became even more strange after I got banned over it. Like over making the video. So I decided to make an unban request. In the unban request, I got to read so many accusations that the character limit was too low to properly address it all in a Twitch appeal process. Let's start with the personal accusations that were made. So, spreading vaccine information, supporting Russia's war and being ignorant and dismissive of the treatment and oppression of minorities. In my video's part about politics, which I prefaced with a warning and timestamp to skip, I talked about how the vaccine was not tested for long and how a lot of authoritarian governments mandated getting the vaccine. This was to explain how one could generally disagree with taking this vaccine based on facts, instead of holding a wrong opinion with malice or misinformation. So I find this accusation of misinformation to be wrong. I mean, in the same part of the video, I talked about how Russia has repeatedly tried to negotiate a zone of neutrality around its borders, but the EU kept breaking promises and ignoring decrees. So it would be understandable why Russia had to go to war. I don't support war of any kind, and would also from the bottom of my heart hope for a peaceful resolution as soon as possible. Thinking the roots of this conflict lay in the European Union's imperialism instead of the tyrant up east is not supporting sides. Wait, hold on a minute. Weren't the bad guys from WW2 the ones who were fighting for Ukraine? Why would you even think
I'm a racist, a racer?
Oh, now it makes sense. And with being ignorant or dismissive towards treatment and oppression of minorities, I genuinely don't know where that came from. I did explain how not all critique of the LGBT community is necessarily against people expressing themselves, however they feel they are. Ignorant and dismissive is something I really think I did my best to avoid. Well, it's definitely not the first time someone got accused of something horrible for disagreeing. So let's end with the accusations towards Illinois here. Anti-vaxxer, ableist and homophobia. These last two seem to be directly plucked out of the earlier mentioned Twitter posts. The homophobia part comes from mentioning he is against the adoption of a pride flag in his stream and not rooting for the corrupt Biden administration. And the ableism comes from the use of the R word in one of his streams and in a thumbnail which was a few months old and long forgotten until it got fished up. I think these are gross mischaracterizations of his behavior, and with the anti-vaxxer stuff, he does label himself that, but when asked, he will definitely clarify this about the recent COVID one and not about vaccines in general. I mean, what's next? Are we gonna call each other transphobic because we're playing Hogwarts Legacies, for example? I genuinely feel like I explain politics to give context to unjust behavior and to stop bullying. But that is apparently enough to ban me. I'm still banned till the day of this publishing. Still banned. I even sent a Discord DM, but I got no response out of that. Now, I assume you didn't ban me personally and it was the work of a moderator, but even then, this is pretty woke. And now, let's talk about the Janik video. The months preceding to the video, Janik seemed to be a hot topic in several communities and this eventually led to some harassment. This culminated in a video response I will go over in a bit, and since shortly after the publishing, both parties got to an understanding. The reason I want to respond to the video has to do with the president being sad. As pedantic as it might seem to dedicate video time over this, seeing freedom of expression get curtailed like this makes me afraid of what is next. Especially with other instances of cancel culture escalating at this moment, I wanted to reflect on what happened here. I tried reaching out to both parties here, asking for a response, but no one responded. I think I preluded this enough, so let's just get into the video. The video starts with a good introduction, but at some point there were examples given of good versus bad. First, there's a comment given that is at worst sarcastic about Janik's skill, but mostly flattering. And the second, there's an example of fun banter as well as some stupid behavior. Because, although vulgar, I couldn't help but chuckle. Because I'm not a regular viewer, but when I was watching Janik's stream out of curiosity, I saw him refer to Virtual a lot. This comment about Janik performing acts on Virtual was clearly just banter, with the possible exception of encouragement to post it again. Yeah, don't do that, that's cringe. The genetic reference was over the line though. As much as it could be meant as a joke, don't go after someone's being or immutable characteristics, as I like to call it. Personally, I wouldn't really have a problem with it, even though I have Asperger myself and would also fall in that category. I think it's just stupid people being stupid. Not much later, Janik says, Elkon's Discord doesn't seem a fun place to be.
Going in there does not seem like a happy place to be.
But who is he to judge? Aren't people allowed to have this kind of banter? This is called poisoning the well, or attributing bad feelings to something or someone before discussing because you don't like his kind of expressions. Some people like gaming humor. A bit later, Janik shows a screenshot of some personal harassment, but this looks a lot more like banter than harassment to me. Janik took contact with Elkon, and from what I read, Elkon is happy to say it's nothing personal, and Janik didn't really push for a responsibility here. Yet it is lamented that the responsibility wasn't taken. Janik tries to imply Elkon participated in harassment, but surely reacting to going to someone's stream can be harassment? At worst, you can say that he was participating in the culture that facilitates it.
Where his community will insult me pretty much for whatever reason.
That might just be because this is the internet. People will insult people. Feel free to moderate your own community, but is this harassment?
I'm a guy with pretty thick skin and I don't get offended as easily. But if this happens to somebody that can't brush it off that easily, it could cause some pretty major mental issues. So we gotta have it stop.
Well, you say you have a pretty thick skin, so I guess you don't mind discussing this video. But these comments need to be stopped? Again, from what is shown in the video, there isn't a clear picture.
You need to moderate your community. As a content creator with a certain reach, you're absolutely responsible for your community and moderating it.
And I want to say that this counts too for modding practices. Having ban policies based on hearsay should also be stopped.
Because other streamers will not accept it, they shut it down and ban the people that do it like they should.
Just because most streamers ban it doesn't mean it should be banned. I mean, it depends on what you refer to precisely.
In my opinion, if you're a professional esports player contracted by an organization representing a brand, you need to be more responsible than this.
This doesn't sound so good. You want him to completely sanitize his community from making a bit of fun?
So let me speak directly to you, Elcon.
A few moments later.
I asked my friend Virtual to contact you.
Oh cool bro, you're friends with Virtual.
Your response was a K, as can be seen here.
Well, cheer up Janik. That ain't half bad. It's like one more letter than I got from you on Virtual multiple times.
And then copy-pasting everything that he sent into a channel in your Discord called Copy-Pasta, effectively making it a meme.
Oh no. Taking a heartfelt response to something perceived unjust being used as a meme to mock people? What a nasty community that is. Ain't no way you guys would let that happen.
This is not comfortable for you, is it? You did a mistake and you hit me hard. I'm about to expose you for what you've been part of. And I want to talk about it. Please get in touch. I've reached out several times now. Oh, I'm sorry for doing this to you, Birdie.
So how responsible are you guys for your community?
And then afterwards, you chose to ban me from your Twitch chat. Regardless what you think about the situation, guys, this is absolutely not the behavior a professional esports player contracted by an organization should do.
Well, imagine this happening to the whole community at once, banning you from your chat. That's what Illinois went through for having his beliefs and being who he is. Janik mentions again how this is not how a pro player should behave.
Historically, I cannot find a single player who is behaving like this who remains in the esports scene. If he continues to carry this community with him, I'm afraid that he's gonna learn sooner or later that it doesn't hold up.
You know, this sounds a lot like mob tactics. Like, nice community to build. Would be a shame if anything happened to it, kind of vibe.
So far, I've only talked about what I've personally received as harassment, but I know that there's other stories, as I've said.
But did you choose to ignore Illinois' case here? Are you aware that he didn't post anything warranting a permaban on Twitch?
Another not completely unrelated issue is the elitism that is going on in the scene. This veteran players versus casual players thing. And since I make content primarily targeted against casual players, these veterans seem to have an easier time to target me for whatever reason.
So I don't completely understand. So you have tutorials called Why You Suck at TrackMania, often going with the one cup of the day title from the stream. Sounds like you're pretty elitist as well. And if not about the game, then you banning Illinois. It's pretty elitist to not let others with differing opinions in your chat.
I'm not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna keep making videos. I'm gonna keep doing what I do because I really enjoy it. Don't even worry about that.
Please do keep making videos. I want to see you reach your creative potential. But then again, was that really a concern?
TrackMania is such a wholesome game for the most part. It is so unfortunate that it has like a dark underbelly of people, and I think it's by time that we raise awareness of it.
I wanted to take this end to discuss the dark underbelly a bit, because with Janik, the video didn't provide me with the evidence to indicate warranting a video. There was probably more going on Janik's stream, but the screenshots provided in the description of the video provide a clearer picture of harassment. Namely how Janik's likeness was marked with an emote, enforcing harassment in a chat function if you ask me, as well as screenshotting him in a position that has some dark context. Come on guys, don't be so childish. I myself am not new to that kind of ideological link though. And lastly, how people were encouraged to visit someone else's stream to message with malicious intent. Personally, I think this is the most clear form of harassment that has happened. Encouraging people to go to someone's stream to make fun of him or bully someone is absolutely stupid. For the harassment coming Alan's and my way, I've shown some already, but Illinois has been getting banned on a lot of Twitch channels. Not only that, Discord got removed because it got reported. Discord can be pretty woke. People actively campaigned him to get removed from Twitch channels as well as the game itself. They even start calling him that thing represented by that hand gesture. Yeah, these people will go very far. If you will allow me to go on a big side tangent, this is similar to the Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign, where lots of trans activists were going to streams that were playing or planning to play Hogwarts Legacy, accusing them of anti-Semitism or transphobia. Because the creator of the Harry Potter franchise the game is based on, J.K. Rowling, is against calling trans women women. She is clearly not against people expressing themselves, but hates it when people are not allowed to express themselves, especially in language. It doesn't help the fact that in the fictional world that Rowling has created, there are literal trolls working in the banks which conform to the stereotypes of bankers, you know. Just let me clarify that there are a lot of trans people that are reasonable people and also find this behavior ridiculous. You should be able to speak out about this toxicity without being accused of being a transphobe. I know for a fact this has happened in the TrackMania community, where even part of the LGBT community can get called out as transphobic. Just let me say from the bottom of my heart, I believe that trans people are some of the most beautiful people in this community when I look at how creative and expressive they can be. But would it be transphobic to call out that there's a lot of trans regret, for example, where hormones and surgeries have destroyed a future that transitioners can never get back? That isn't to say that early treatments of this kind, like hormones and, didn't make some people their genuinely best version of themselves. But these things deserve to be discussed openly, without threat of expulsion, or you will radicalize people. So back to the dark underbelly in TrackMania, where comparing this to Illinois, the real banning across channels, claim of homophobia and ableism. This is of course not true. Illinois is neither of these things. He is against the LGBT movement maybe, but there can be clear reasons to be against some stuff they started promoting lately. I think there needs to be a clear distinction between being against LGBT people and being against the LGBT agenda. Because where the first is obviously just an absolute moron and only worthy of ridicule, the other can be someone strongly opposed to authoritarian ideology that forces compliance or gets you banned, cancelled, doxxed and worse. But still, seeing non-political people with more exotic sexualities as equals like normal people do. Just like the R-word edition of Illinois' Knockouts didn't bother me. Witnessing it both live and seeing the thumbnail later, even though technically I would fall under the definition of the R-word because of my mental illnesses, quote unquote. But even if you were to have an extra chromosome, you wouldn't find this demeaning, I think. To get back to the Janing video, this is actually why I felt I needed to discuss this video. Freedom of speech and expression are becoming far more restricted on the internet. This includes moderation against actual toxic behavior, like hard slurs and bullying, which few would argue is a bad thing, but also against creative reactions and more provoking and edgy behavior that can make interactions and content so much more diverse. Because you all talk about diversity and inclusion being important for the community, while excluding the diverse of opinion. I mean, is this inclusion and diversity only for the topic that you agree with? I hope not. And closing on this video, there was obviously bad behavior deserving of being called out, but there was also just memeing that didn't. Where on one hand there was legitimate reason to hold Alcon accountable, on the other hand you also underhandedly made threats of getting his sponsors removed and using virtual as social leverage. While you were rightfully pushing back against people insulting who you are, you made it feel like the neurodivergent are incapable of taking jokes, while also making jokes about it later yourself. It's this kind of hypocrisy that feels so unjust when I look at how my friend Illinois was treated. So after months of silence and after I posted the notice I was going to publish videos soon, Janik actually responded, and not just that, it was actually one of the best responses I have had to date about this issue. I won't be sharing communications, but I just wanted to include he was super cool talking to, and I respect that. Which leads me to clarifying once again that I have huge respect for what these streamers were able to accomplish and think they're generally cool people. I'm only exposing certain issues and not judging character. Making jokes about it at most, okay? So, going to talk about the aftermath of my last video. After the publishing of my video, a person named PsychoEdge went to comment and claim responsibility for banning Illinois from about plus minus 20 streams. I wanted to highlight some of these sentences, but the most disturbed I was about the last sentence. You were played like a fiddle. So I didn't get frustrated because a streamer I visit a lot suddenly wasn't able to reach out to the huge part of the community and decided to ask around a lot what the origin was for these accusations, and no one could provide me with single evidence that Illinois had ill intent and wanted to document it in a video? Well, thanks, mind reader. But in all seriousness, people have been actively recruiting people to ban Illinois. False accusations were shared on Discord, one of which was the product of harassment, going to someone's stream provoking reaction, efforts to get him removed from the game, and so on. If you stream TrackMania, check if Illinois is banned and ask yourself if you agree with that. If making provocative statements on other platforms or using the R word is enough justification to mass ban him without ever having talked to him, never trying to convince him of his stances, or even documenting truly transgressive behavior Illinois supposedly did. Because I have been hunting and didn't find anything filled with malice. Lots of stuff I would disagree with or get where they are coming from, but expressed in toxic ways I find stupid, but nothing with malice, like stream harassment, or campaigning him to be removed from streams, or even from the game. I also want to take some time to discuss the paradox of tolerance, as it is continually brought up in researching this. The argument goes that being tolerant is good, but when you start tolerating bad behavior enough, it will make the community intolerant. Usually, the target of this argument are accused, homophobes, transphobes, racists, stuff like that. But I'd like to turn it around, where Illinois was just using banter and talking politics, not stopping anyone from doing whatever they want. The LGBTQ bullies made sure he didn't have Discord, many connections on Twitch, still being harassed on streams he isn't banned on with WW2 slurs, campaigning to remove him from the game seems pretty intolerant to me. Don't people think that this bullying behavior makes the community less tolerant? Okay, here's a trigger warning for you. The coming paragraph is going to be edgy. This ability to ban people without recourse seems very fascistic to me. Back in Europe's and Russia's 20th century dark times, books were burned, information destroyed, people banned from public life for what they feel they are. There are a lot of people today being harassed from platforms, banks, government, and a lot more for having the wrong viewpoints. Not for being malicious. These are the small roots of the new wave of fascism forming. And its symbol may just be the woke flag. As hyperbolic it may seem, I believe this to be true. Because the tolerant people that call themselves oppressed tend to be the most tyrannical, power-wielding oppressors. So, let's start closing up this video. In the end, I think almost all of us have the same goal in mind. Racing fast, have fun, create experiences, and avoiding all the drama. Just like Janik said, TrackMania has a wonderful community with just a tiny dark underbelly of people. Till now, it has mostly been highlighted how the memers have to chill and almost nothing about the LGBTQ people banning people for not agreeing with their movement, excluding cool people from the community. This is clearly also a form of bullying and has to be stopped as well, even though it hides as justice and behind the giants in the community. In the end, it comes down to the argument of letting people get the opportunity to be stupid. There are people with big followings who hold very stupid ideas. Openly discussing why they're wrong can lead to them considering they were wrong. But banning them for being wrong will only embolden them to think they're right. If I weren't right, he would have come up with an argument instead of banned me. Don't think people won't accept people for who they are just because they criticize the LGBTQ community. Because I myself love the content of some of the trans streamers as well as other LGBTQ people streams, while having my doubts with their actions as a movement. This video was not easy to make, not only because these long form videos are new to me and everything, but also the hurt I'm probably gonna cause filled me with mental anguish of continuing on it. Every time I'd argue to stop making this video though, something happens that made me continue it. I want my friends who I enjoy on stream to be welcome in the community. I mean, I also just want to play this great video game without thinking about other people's problems. But I can't be a coward if my friend is getting bullied by the wokies. And that's it for this video. Took me a while, but worth it. I hope you learned that this behavior is pretty common and deserves to be called out. Some people use moderation tools to influence what you think. Don't think it hasn't happened in your communities. Apologies, it isn't a happy video, but if no other choice is left to show a case, I needed to share it somehow. More videos are coming, but I'm currently holding off on tutorials till Nando solidifies ice. Expect a great video about TrackMania and the Steam Deck, as well as more music of course. No matter your actions, I forgive all of you, and I hope the people mentioned in this video can forgive me as well. Thanks for watching this long, and I will see you in the next one.
We're breaking the conditioning! We're coming for you, globalist! Coming for you. We know what you're doing! Sorry. I just get fired up when I think of what they're doing to us and how I want to resist them. And how easy they are to defeat.